Crypto Spark
Okay.
and Lark just, rocking it out together,
So,
basically.
for me, Crypto Spark and obviously a YouTube channel, which actually broke off of another channel, which was based off of economics, monetary policy, a little bit of politics, about stocks and debt and all these things that people kind of fall into.
Your channel had a hard fork.
Yeah, right. It actually did, and I was the only one who did it, and I coded off of it, but I tested first, and when I did the channel, I actually talked about Bitcoin because a couple of my subscribers would mention it, and this is 4 years ago, and because of my background, I get exposed to it through businesses that I work with. So I would hear about this, or I'd hear about blockchain, and I hear about this fintech and new technology, and even gaming, they were trying to pay for, how do we get these tokens to use them? And digital currency has been talked about for decades. So it's not like the concept is brand new. But when somebody came to me on my channel and said, you got to look into Bitcoin, you got to look into, and they were really hardcore, pushing me. And I said, come on, I get it. I could learn how to trade it. I can teach you guys how to use the technical analysis. But, there's some issues that it has. And here are the issues. And I remember making a couple of videos about it, not saying that it was impossible, just saying these are some of the issues. And I can see this happening if you just jump in and these aren't fixed, they'll always be there. And some of them still exist today, 4 or 5 years later, but people are working on it. They're trying to at least fix them. It doesn't fix everything. The simplest one people will say is, well, what happens if my electricity goes out? Well, that's a great question. And that hasn't been fixed, right?
That's true.
But it doesn't mean that you can't use it at all. It's like, well, what if the wheel falls off my car? Yeah, that would really stink. But there's hundreds of millions of cars driving successfully, so it could still be mind-blowingly successful. And yeah, we don't want the wheel to fall off. So we should work on those things, of course, but don't give up on the concept because the concept can be incredible. So I talked about that. And years later, I started thinking, I should incorporate this into my channel for the people that understand it. And let me tell you, the hatred and the anger that came out from people saying, no, you can't do that. Don't hard fork. Don't go in that direction. And they got really angry. And I thought, wow, that's unfortunate, but I'm not blaming them. I'm not judging them, but I can hard fork and create a second channel. And some people will like it, some people won't, and it's okay. I'm not even judging them, but I could see the potential of it being worthwhile and not getting rid of the old channel, just recognizing the power of some of the potential moving forward, even if I don't get to see it, let's say. But I know we're moving towards the car that has the 4 wheels. Why not watch and be a part of it? It's very exciting. So that's where I came from. And with a business background, I see the excitement. And I just choose to be part of the positive force in it, and not that, by the way, not that challenges don't matter, because they absolutely do. But I wanted to be part of the solution team and not the you can't do it team,
Yeah.
So for me, that's what fired me up. And seeing channels like yours, I thought, hey, there's a lot of people that are really positive, and not all channels are that way. And there's a lot of excitement and community that really want this thing to work, that say, hey, this car thing could be super cool if we can all, wrap our heads around it. And I think it's bigger than anything we can imagine, but it's a really overall positive environment, which is really attractive to me. So how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely felt a similar way. I think there is a lot of positivity in the space and a lot of excitement in the space. And, kind of the only points where I find a bit of negativity, perhaps from any subscribers, is really just on points of difference where they'll say, I think you're wrong on that project, or I don't like that project. And I say, well, that's
Sure.
fair enough. And as long as as long as that's always presented in, a mature, rational way, let's disagree till the cows come home,
Absolutely.
And actually,
Absolutely.
I find that the crypto space seems to be quite positive in general, because if you look at statistics on YouTube comments, actually there's a much larger percentage of negative trolling sort of comments than I think you actually get with the crypto space. So
I would agree with that. And that's happened on mine too. Now, obviously, one of the downfalls of YouTube is their algorithms make us fall into this thin space if you want to be successful on YouTube. And that's just reality.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've noticed as well as you is even on channels or even in space, I'm sure there are other ones out there that we just don't have interest in. You know, I don't know, kids' toys or something, whatever it might be. There's probably some really positive forces in other places as well. But if you talk about anything that has to do with monetary policy, politics, I mean, if you touch on anything that is, you know, substance oriented, you will absolutely get the vitriol that comes with it. And that's just the way it is. Where I agree with you in this space, there's a lot of disagreement. There is infighting for sure, but overall, the average person that comes into it, I find, is I watch other channels that are, you know, smaller, bigger, and it's incredible how many comments are like, "Wow, Crypto Lark, you're awesome. I love your presentation. I love the way you talk about this. This is so cool." And those comments are like boom, 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 boom on channels that are really, really good, channels that are just starting out. You don't get that on most other things. So it's like people are just like, "Hey, cool. I want to be a part of this. And thank you for putting in the time." That's awesome. I don't see that everywhere.
And it's a great, you know, it's great. You know, I think what I like, you know, I'm getting close to 15,000 now, which is just, I feel like, I don't know, blessed to have so many people interested in, you know, my channel and all these things. But, you know, I just look at that as that's a community that's being built, you know, and that's people who are exchanging information, who are helping each other in the comment section, who come to the live streams and talk to each other. And, you know, that's a community we're building. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's, you know, something that people respond to. And that's, you know, if I can be the vehicle for that community, I think that's awesome. It's absolutely
right. Awesome. I'm in the same viewpoint. Everybody has their reason for doing this, but it's, you know, it's pretty cool to be a part of a growing community that actually wants to do something good, you know, that's decent. So if I wasn't doing a YouTube channel, I don't know if it would be for you too, but if I wasn't doing a YouTube channel, I'd still be watching them and engaged just as much, probably, just because I'd say, "Hey, I want to be on that bus. That's a cool bus.
That's it.
Let's go hang out on that bus." So yeah, I feel the same way. How did you originally get into crypto for yourself? So I know mine. I don't know your exact story, actually.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You know, one of the people really to push me into it was actually my mom. You know, she'd been watching. Yeah, I know. And she, funnily enough, though, she still doesn't own any cryptocurrency. But it's a long story. But you know, basically, she had been watching sort of the Dollar Vigilante for quite a long time. And, you know, kept saying, "Lark, about Bitcoin." "Yeah, I know, Mom. I've been watching Bitcoin. I've been keeping an eye on the prices for years. I've been, you know, thinking about it, but I just haven't had the time to look into it," and so on and so forth. And, you know, then I kind of started getting a little bit into Steemit. I thought, well, okay, this is fun. I don't really like using Facebook anymore, so I'll start using Steemit a little bit. And then it kind of developed from there. It's sort of thinking, like, you know, this path of discovery from Bitcoin and Steem, you know, really out from there. So, you know, it was an interesting journey of discovery, although I still have to talk Mom into buying her first Bitcoin. She hasn't done it yet, you know.
Right. So. But, you know, moms are good at planting seeds, so she obviously did that really well. I spoke with somebody today at the gym. I was walking in, and there's this person there that I know that actually works with my wife in tech. You know, he's really like behind the scenes developer, coder, technology, eclectic, really great guy, intelligent. And I thought, oh, I'm sure he's probably been involved with Bitcoin for 9 years, you know, guaranteed. And I hadn't seen him in a while, but I've been meaning to ask him. So I said, "Hey, by the way, you've heard of Bitcoin?" You know, kind of assuming, obviously. So he says, "What'd you say, Bitcoin?" And I said, "No, Bitcoin." And so he says, "Oh, yeah. Oh, I've known about Bitcoin. I've been following that for many, many, many years now," which is what I assumed. And he said, yeah, of course, absolutely. If you want to read about it or know about it, you should go to, a good source would be Medium. Have you heard of Medium.com? And I said, yeah, absolutely, of course. Some of the writers, yep. But I could tell that he had no interest past that. That fascinated me because I thought, of all people that I know, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, he's definitely, especially because he knows the technology, he's eclectic, he would be into something like this. And I thought to myself, he's probably been exposed to it by a lot of people, but unless it's somebody who will sit them down or somebody they trust, like your mother, somebody that they trust, they hear it and they just move on. They're busy, they're at work, they're going 40, 50 hours a week, they have kids, they have whatever. They're going to see the headlines from Market Watch or, you know, Forbes or something what New York Times, whatever it might be, and then they move on, which is why, to me, I know this sounds so simplistic, to me, it's us, right? We have a small sliver. 15,000 subs is really cool, but 115,000 would be even cooler, and 1 million would be even more cool, and we're going to be there. So when this happens and this develops, no matter what number you have as subs, because to me that's not overly important, it's the message that we'll be able to develop and put out there for people that are targeted. They really want to know more than just the headlines in the Wall Street Journal, and it's going to be us that defines that. At least we'll have a piece of the pie of definition, and if we don't, it'll all be defined by you know who, and it won't be you and I, and then we'll sit back and say, darn, we had a chance. We could have at least attempted to put in our 2 cents or our 0.0005 BTC. And why didn't we do it? Why didn't we do it? And that's why I feel like this sense of, I know it sounds crazy, this sense of urgency, and it's a daily urgency that I have. And it's like, how do I just get something out there that somebody's going to hear? And then their mom put something in their ear. And then somebody else said, hey, what about this? And then they check it out and they go to CryptoLark, the CryptoLark or CryptoSpark, or one of the ones that at least is attempting to give good information. And that's how it will grow in a positive way. And I don't really care about the sub count, but the quality of the information that gets out there will be shared by other people that start their own channel, that do Facebook. It'll be Facebook Watch. It'll be Instagram, Pinterest. It'll be, Steam it. It'll be whatever. And there'll be new ones that are even more important, that are decentralized, that you and I are talking about already. And they'll be at the forefront. And we'll have played at least a small part in hopefully spreading that. So
that's it. It's kind of a process of crypto evangelizing, so to speak. And one of the reasons why I actually started the channel was because of this. I realized how difficult it was, for me to buy my first Bitcoin and all these things. And I thought, gosh, other people are probably having these same problems. Let's get out there, start talking about it on videos. And I made a video a few weeks ago, and sort of core principles of Bitcoin, whatever. And one of the things that I really am quite passionate about is tell other people about it. Take the time, take a few minutes out of your day. And if you mentioned Bitcoin to your friend 2 weeks ago, chase up with them, say, hey man, check out that Bitcoin stuff. Yeah,
right.
No, I've been too busy. Hey, take 15 minutes. Let's sit down. I'll help you open up a Coinbase account, or whatever it might be.
Right.
To actually take a little bit of that time, because unfortunately we're still at the stage right now with cryptocurrencies where it is obscure. We are still using the word crypto, to describe it. It's not just currencies at the moment. We're still kind of in this space where things are a little bit unclear, and it is difficult, and there's this massive learning curve, and there's thousands of different projects all competing in the same space. There's 50 different sports coins, there's 50 different smart contracts, there's 100 different currencies. So, people need
I don't think that
light. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think any of that is bad either. You're going to see people that are way down the rabbit hole. I mean, way down the rabbit hole, and then you're seeing people obviously that say, how do I just do one transaction and purchase something? Like, how do I even do that? And they're all along their own journey. They don't have to end up in the same place. They don't have to all become experts on all the different pieces of cryptocurrency or really blockchain technology. And, some of them will just stick with what the heck is a Bitcoin, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There will be people that drive a car and they have no understanding of how it works, nor do they care. And quite honestly, why should they? Right? They're utilizing it. It's functioning for what they need, probably more than anything they imagined. And that's fantastic. Then there are other people that want to know exactly the horsepower. Is it electric? Is it not electric? What about hydrogen? And how come the tires emit? Everything about every detail. And they can take it apart, and they want to develop the next kind of vehicle that might be a hover vehicle. I don't know. But it's okay. We're all along that spectrum. And this is not simple, right? It's not the interactions, the interfaces, customer service is abhorrent across the board.
Yep.
It's difficult to trade. People say, oh, no, this one's easy. Yeah, because you learned how to press all the buttons and the whistles. Nobody else knows how to do that. 1% of 1% of 1%. So even if we're interacting in a trustful way and just giving our authentic views, it's such a powerful tech. This is what proves it. It's such a powerful technology, possibly, I say potentially and possibly, that people are willing to get into it, and it's still so messy. The car veers off to the right. The engine makes weird noises. It's like sometimes it starts and sometimes it doesn't start. And you're like, what the heck? Who would use this stupid car? I'm done with this thing. I don't want to use this car. I'm going back to the horse and buggy. And I can get that, like your mom probably saying it's cool. I don't want to deal with it. It just doesn't fit my world. So who cares? But in today's society, and society meaning globally, more and more people are moving in this direction. They can use their cell phone around the world. You and I can talk 17 hours, away from each other in time zones, and interact in ways that not only could we not even dream of, probably when we were younger, but we. To me, it's beyond anything we can imagine, and it's just exciting to be in the middle of understanding at least that part for me.
Yeah, so to be at the start of it, you know.
Right. So it's just, channels like yours growing. You do a great job. So I'm not going to not give you credit. You do a great job. I look back at your old videos. You probably do too. Yeah. And you're like, what's going on there? Yeah. But that's why I'm saying it's messy, and people are still attracted because you're telling them an authentic, real story and your experience. Like, this is your journey. And they're saying, I want to be on that bus. That's cool. And that's what's happening. So that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Hey, big props to you as well. You're anyone out there getting that positive message out, and talking about things in a way that is giving people real information and letting them understand stuff. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And one question that I get from a lot of people when they come in and they say, okay, well, I want to invest in 50 different coins. What are the top coins I should invest in? It's my first day. I've got $5,000 in my hand. What am I going to do? We're like, well,
sure,
relax. If for most people, all they would ever have to do would be invest in Bitcoin. If you simply did that, you bought some Bitcoin and just forget about it. Hide it from yourself for 5 years. Come back and you're going to be okay. Because it's certainly the situation where Bitcoin has shown that over time, it's that long term. I think we're now up about almost 8 times on the price about this time last year, which is mind-blowing growth.
It's unbelievable. Today it's about 6,000-ish. It's like right at that 6 again. It was
I have to agree. 62.55 is the high today, actually. It's a new all-time high.
Yeah. Oh, was it today? Okay. So, and the thing that is about people asking that question. So now it's how far down the rabbit hole are they, right? And same thing. That's one of my most common questions as well, is what do I do? And just today, somebody put a comment on, and I don't think that he's ever commented that I'm aware of on my channel before. And it was about, I think it was about OMG. And the question was, what's going to happen? Where is it going? Why is it going down? They're all going, and this was from yesterday, and then today he commented again, why is it going down? And I could just feel like this frustration coming through in the comment, like, wait a minute, what is happening here? And then I don't remember exactly what I said, but he said, yes, I bought it because you recommended it, or you liked it, or you something or other. And I thought, wow, we have to be really careful, because I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. If they're in the space, I'm just sharing my experience throughout my life, saying, educate yourself first. And educate doesn't mean watching a video and saying, oh no, I know how to do this now. I got this. And if that's somebody's level of rabbit hole understanding, then it's not it's not for me to tell them what to do, other than saying you might have some more learning to do, because this is so exciting. People jump over the learning period and they wanted the sexy, exciting stuff. And maybe those channels will grow bigger than ours. I don't know, probably. But honestly, just that feeling of obligation, which we shouldn't even feel towards somebody else's decision, keeps me in line with saying, this is what I like, but I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not your advisor. I don't want to be your advisor. And legally, I couldn't be anyways. But information is so powerful. Don't jump over into the exciting, hey, I can't wait to bet if I just do this and get my first Lambo. No. that is a problem, because that means those, and we will get those people again and again and again, tomorrow, the next day, 10 years from now, because that's human mindset, that somebody gets in and they don't educate themselves. And we can't force them to. It's not up to us. We're not even obligated to do so. It's just that this space allows for people that want to take the journey and learn. It allows them to, if they want to be a part of this. And the only thing I would look at differently, maybe than the way you said it, even though I potentially believe you're correct, is that we could put money into Bitcoin today and come back in 5 years, and it could be worth zero.
It could be worth zero.
Okay?
It could be worth zero. Yep.
And and the question I've used in my investing life for 30 years is, what if I'm wrong? And that's really, really vital, because there's loads of research to show that we have unbelievable bias on our successes. So even the greatest scientists of the history of mankind have come forward and, kind of proven how things will work and why they've worked. And very few people will come along and question it and say, that was a trend that you noticed because you wanted to notice it, but it does not prove anything scientifically for tomorrow. And that's powerful, because we go, no, I can't be wrong. No way, there's just too much evidence to prove that what I've seen must mean blah, blah, blah in the future. And so it just has to be.
That's it. Confirmation bias is a dangerous thing. And
it's so powerful.
If you look at how the technology is developing, and yeah, like you say, you could throw some money into Bitcoin and come back in 5 years, but that comes back, I think, to one of the core fundamentals of actually the whole space is never invest more than you can lose. You got to do your own research. It's like you're saying, people come and say, well, you said this and blah, blah, blah. And, well,
yep.
We're talking about information here. We're talking about ways to look at things. I'm always trying to go macro, how to educate yourself on these projects, not this is what I say to do, because I never say to do anything. I say, hey guys, this is something to think about. This is something to look at.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the whole market is mind-blowingly irrational on a massive level, and the technology is always changing. I saw a recent project came out, Cardano. I don't know if you've had any chance to look into it yet.
Yep.
Really interesting project. I really like it. When it came out, I looked at some of the other smart contract companies down the list a bit and said, you guys are done. But that's just my opinion, because I see someone that's put in so much more work and is such a better funded, farther developed company than these other companies, that they're not going to survive long term. And thinking about Bitcoin on a more macro level, blockchain is amazing. Will blockchain be the end game? Not necessarily. Quantum computing is coming. Will quantum computers break Bitcoin? It's a real conversation to be had as this technology gets deployed, and it actually gets you starting to look at projects that are quantum resistant. For example, Nexus, they've built a quantum resistant, government resistant, basically cryptocurrency. They're going to put satellites into space. Their coding is quantum resistant. Of course, nothing can be quantum proof, I suppose, but nevertheless, like you said, it could go to zero. That's always a real possibility. I don't think it's going to happen, but
I don't either.
You got to take that into account. The world changes, and I think go back to an earlier comment as well. If the electricity goes out, for example, I always think, well, if that situation happens where, I don't know, nuclear war is going on and the global electricity grid goes down, and I think you're gonna have much bigger problems than the price of your Bitcoin.
Exactly. That's exactly right, and that's a good way to look at it. I think anyway. So I agree. So that problem still exists. That challenge is still there. So let's take it on a smaller level. Let's say you're in a local area and it's not something so catastrophic that you would read in a novel or see in a movie, that in a local area that there's this chaos on a regular basis going on around the world. Probably not in New Zealand, probably not in the US, but plenty of other places where there are unstable governments on a regular basis. So it might be up for a period of time and down a week later or a year later. So preparing for that possibility might be more important for other people. Whereas you and I, if it completely went out, we might think, whoa, we got bigger problems. But some of these places are already living in those bigger problems and they're getting exposure to cryptocurrency. And that's fantastic. But they still don't have high-speed internet. They still don't have stable governments. They still don't have stable electrical grid systems. They still probably don't even have really great water or food or so many, governing or whatever it might be. So what I've been careful about doing is jumping into the all or nothing, right? So nothing is it all goes out. We don't even care about crypto anymore. We're trying to figure out how we're going to eat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's a lot of unlimited variables in between. Yeah. So that's where my potential is. Hey, I love this. This is awesome. It's exciting. And that's fantastic. But I'm still going to take care of the other things along the way, just in case this doesn't work so well. Even if it's only for a period of time, well, then I have to be ready for those other things that might work better for a period of time. And that's just kind of the way I evaluate problems, even in companies where I'll say, hey, we really want to go to the goal and get a touchdown, or we want to go there. That's awesome. But along the way, there's all these little increments that we have to deal with. So if we don't get there, we could still be, relatively highly successful. And if we get there and there's a pullback, we'll still have our bases covered. So it's not the ship doesn't go down. And this is important because if we all go for the gusto 100% and things don't work out, you're going to be really disappointed in many areas of your life. So it's just build up multiple solutions, multiple strengths. And yeah, I don't think Bitcoin's going to zero, but I'm not one of those people that say put all of my eggs in, because even if there's a slow period of time, that's dangerous for me. Now, somebody else might say, nope, I don't care. I'm good. And that's all right. That's their choice.
Everyone's got the pain point.
Hey, yeah, everybody does. There's no right answer for one particular person, but the potential, the excitement, the opportunities are what keep me going towards, hey, let's keep moving in that direction, because I think that's worthwhile. We could say, hey, what if the lights go out? Don't bother getting into YouTube.
That's it.
Okay. But until they go out, this is pretty cool.
Until they go out, keep making videos.
Exactly. This is cool. So that's how I kind of see it. So anyways, your feeling on some of the ICOs, what if you said, Cardano is a good example. You see something else you think is superior. You think they have a better team, community, funding, maybe a better technology. There's some that you think possibly that there could be different clothing companies, different car companies. Maybe they are better. But there's Hyundai and there's Rolls-Royce, or there's Hyundai or whatever. I don't know what different cars you might have or not have. But there's some that are not the top end, but people still use them for their particular uses.
Sure.
Maybe somebody else comes along and says, hey, ours is superior. It's more expensive. It's this, it's that. But maybe they both can find a spot in the marketplace. Maybe.
Oh, sure.
Now, some just disappear, obviously. But maybe there's room for more than we think there is.
What do you
think?
I definitely think that. I think there's a lot of space, here for a lot of different platforms to come in. And, looking across it, I see currently, there's sort of 7 to 10 really strong competitors in the space that they've got the teams, they've got the money, they've got the development and the communities and all this stuff behind them. They have that long-term potential currently, and there's plenty of space for more people to come in. It's like you said with cars, there's hundreds of car companies globally. Many of them you don't even know the names of because they're small car companies, or right. They're localized in certain countries, for example. But obviously there's the big ones, and a lot of people have invested in those big ones and got into them. And this is one thing that I think about too. Ethereum, as an example, they've seen a lot of their market value come through, and I'm not saying there's not any room for growth in Ethereum as the crypto market continues to grow. We can definitely see Ethereum continue to grow, but we're not going to see the big gains on it like we will with some of the projects a bit farther down. But if we look at, for example, EOS or Cardano, Komodo platform, some other projects along the space, their valuation is so low in comparison to what they might potentially be able to bring out. So it's kind of like, it is like, the car companies, but it's like investing in Ford when the stock's worth, 2 cents each, something like this.
Right.
It's not that they're stocks, true. But still, it's kind of a
no, it's the same, but it's the same thing because it's human nature. So people get caught up in this is different. Well, yeah, it's different. but it's still human nature that plays a part. And I want to say yesterday or the day before, I was reading a Wall Street Journal, several articles, and in this business section, 2 of them were on Bitcoin. 2 of the articles. Mm-hmm. First of all, would we have seen that a year ago? No, there would be 0. And next to that was an article about, and not related to it, but it was an article about the crash of 1929. And some of the scientists or some of the economists of the time, there was I forget his name. It's an obscure name. I say famous, but unless you're into statistical analysis, nobody would even look at it ever. You can't even find his work anymore. So, but what he looked at, and he actually criticized his own work, which I'm a big fan of. He criticized his own work afterwards, and he actually called the crash, not because he was trying to become famous or calling the crash and buy my fund, because from a statistical analysis, he looked at it and said, this just doesn't make sense. There's no way something could keep going up like that. And then after the crash, he actually criticized, even though he was correct, he criticized his own work because what he said was, I didn't take into account the human nature, because basically what he was saying is, statistically, how could something continue to go up? But humans could actually, this human spirit, this human ingenuity, this belief to move forward, which is, I think, is a part of why you watch the headlines and they're telling you it's amazing, no matter how bad it is, because they know if they can keep that human spirit going, you really don't know how big it could be. And not necessarily in a negative way, although I don't say, you should lie, obviously, but I believe that part of what they're doing is saying, let's push that spirit forward. Let's keep getting them going, But he was saying is, you can't even measure that. Like, you can't even statistically analyze it because there's maybe today somebody would. Behavioral economics is a tiny sliver of economics because it's so hard to measure. Not that economics is easy, but behavioral economics, forget it.
Yeah, dealing with emotions and irrational responses to things.
Forget it. But if you can recognize that we play even the smallest role in that, then this whole ecosystem of blockchain technology, or whatever the next evolution of it, could bring us past anything we could have imagined. And the reason why I feel that way is just looking back at and I always refer back to the .com bubble, and people look at it in a negative way. And here we are today, not even 20 years later, but 20 years later-ish, and look what we're using. We could not have fathomed this 25 years ago, right? So people look at it negatively, but look what occurs now. We can use technology to stream, to do so many things that I'm sure most people weren't, 99.9999% would never even dreamed of. Never mind now they're going, hey, that's super cool. And I think that same mindset will move us forward in some way in 10 years that we can't even fathom. And I believe that whether it's blockchain, cryptos, quantum, some other thing we haven't even discussed yet, will be a part of that evolution. And I just feel like I want to be in that, right? I want to be on that. And I don't know how it's going to evolve. I'm going to keep moving with it. And if that means that something goes wrong with parts of it, and there's a shift, another paradigm shift, I want to be open to seeing what that is as well. And I think more and more people, if they, at least on YouTube, maybe the crypto geeks that are listening to us right now, at least are open to that possibility. Some of them will be inspired right now to start their own channels. I had an email just yesterday from my other channel and I don't remember the person. I remember the name, but I'm not sure the discussion we had. But he actually sent me a private message saying 4 years ago, I inspired him in a talk, in a discussion that we had. I don't know if we had private messages or not, but that he got so inspired that he's now working with the team to create an ICO. Now, I didn't talk about ICOs 4 years ago, but it was something that was said that sparked him. I didn't make him do it, right? It was inside that person, not inside me, that he realized, wait a minute, maybe there is something cool. Let me think about this. And I don't know, maybe it took his mother to put something in his ear too, and 10 other people, I don't really know. But I think that's what people that are watching right now with us, they have that sense of urgency, like, I just want to be involved somehow. And they have to find what that somehow is, and I don't know what it is for me in 5 years from now, or even 5 weeks from now, but I'm definitely like, I want to be in this space somehow and inspiring other people as well. So
that's it. Sometimes you just have to be that spark for people. And that's, you know, it's a fantastic name for your channel, Crypto Spark. You know, it's like, here's your inspiration, you know, so.
Thank you.
One thing too, you mentioned the dot-com bubble, and the thing with the dot-com bubble, a lot of people tend to forget as well, is that, you know, it's like you said, it gave us the Amazons and the eBays and all this stuff of today, you know.
Yep.
That's such a strong reason to make sure your portfolio is diversified. Like, yeah, I get a big holding of Bitcoin, sure, but like, you know, like with my smart contract platforms, I'm invested in a few of them, right? Because not all of them might survive, but the ones that do might survive spectacularly. And we are at the stage right now where we are onboarding so many people every day in the space. You know, we've got Coinbase is between 35 and 50,000 new signups a day. It's mind-blowing. And yeah, I understand why their customer service is having a hard time keeping up with that. Nevertheless, they need to. It's like you said, that's an absolute shame of the crypto space right now is the customer service. But the thing is, I think about all these people coming in, all this demand rising. I think we're going to see upward trends for a long time. But I don't think that a lot of the new money that's coming into this is ready for the potential of a long-term bear trend. I know previously, if you look back in the charts, we saw some real long-term bear trends with Bitcoin.
Yes.
You know, and that, I think, was, if we saw such a thing to happen again, say, you know, SegWit happens and a bunch of drama ensues, and then it flatlines for 6 months.
Or another Mt. Gox.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You know, and that's, of course, such an emphasis for decentralized exchanges to really start onboarding in a massive way. And they're coming. We're going to see a lot of decentralized exchanges really hit in the next sort of 6 to 8 months. You know, even some of the centralized exchanges are going to be decentralized. Places like Binance, that's in their plan to decentralize.
Yep.
But, you know, this stuff's got to move forward in that way. But, you know, nevertheless, even if we do have that bear trend for 6 months or something, we might lose a few people along the way, but but that's okay, because more people keep coming and more people keep finding out about it. And even if the growth rates were to slow down a little bit, the overall trend is that upward trend at the moment. And people, you know, people that come out and say, well, Bitcoin's a bubble, for example. People say that about real estate all the time, right? And yeah, real estate bubbles can pop, but it's not like the buildings all get burnt down when the real estate bubble pops. You know, we've had it here in New Zealand where we've gone through so many boom bust cycles. It's like, yeah, okay, the prices went up to 1.5 million, and then the bubble burst, and we're back down to 1.2 million for a house now. You know, it's what a bubble burst will look like in the future for Bitcoin. Hard to say, but I don't think it's going to be that kind of, you know, drop massively. We're going to have a $5 Bitcoin or something again. You know, it'll be much more measured. It'll go from, you know, a $10,000 Bitcoin to maybe a 6-month bear trend of $7,000 Bitcoin or something like that. But the thing I always think, and I talk about a lot on the channel, is we are definitely in this process of mainstream mass adoption. It's coming more and more every day. There's so many use cases for cryptocurrencies around the world, not just Bitcoin, of course. You know, we were talking about third world countries, developing countries, you know, places like Zimbabwe, Venezuela, a lot of other countries, too many to name, of course, but they need this stuff. They need this stuff. Their central governments have completely failed them. And cryptocurrencies can be a way for these countries to move forward too. And those people are slowly being onboarded because of lack of infrastructure in their countries. But as companies start putting satellites into space, solar panels to charge your mobile phone, you won't need the infrastructure anymore. And so that's when we start to hit this, you know, just mass adoption flood.
There's so many. You could be completely wrong, right?
Yeah,
I could be completely
100%.
wrong. We could be way off. Maybe Bitcoin does go to 5. I have no idea. Maybe there's a resurrection and that occurs. Like, we could just theorize. Maybe that occurs and we're not talking Bitcoin anymore. We're, you know, the crypto Lark coin. I don't know. I have no idea. But I think the ingenuity that came from the mindset and a lot of people moving into the space, even you and I, are using human capital in a way that you can't go backwards in the sense that we'll never use it again. It's like if we stopped using heating systems, yeah, but we already know how to light fire. So somebody would come along and move us ahead hundreds, if not thousands of years like that. So it's unless we all disappeared, which right, so that's another issue. We
again, you're not worried about Bitcoin in that situation, yeah.
Right. So that being said, is even in places that have gone down hard, whether it's environmental problems, whatever it is, the ingenuity has been spread throughout mankind that if we didn't all basically get wiped out, it could actually take a period of time that it paused, and then it would be up and running again. People would say, hey, this is what we need to do. Let's get to work. So that's in a really extreme version. But in other words, it could occur, but it wouldn't take another 5,000 years to get back here. It could take a week. It could take 6 months. I have no idea. But my thinking is that's as extreme as it gets. Yeah. So ultimately, if we were up and running from even a downturn, because a downturn could be a global issue, could be economically global issue, monetary policies, or all these problems that we have. But I don't think it would just wipe everything out to zero. It would be a stopping point. And then people would again be thinking already the next day, all right, how do we keep going? How do we evolve this? How do we improve this? And that would be happening all over the place. So whether there's a downturn in the price action of something is, for me, it's just less important for me. I know for some people that's
the only thing.
Devastating because, I'm not minimizing it in any way, shape, or form. I really am not. I just keep thinking macro, like you mentioned before, is this will evolve. A year from now, no matter what happens, there's going to be more people that have been exposed to it exponentially. And whether they buy into Bitcoin or Ethereum or they don't, some of these things are going to start impacting their lives, and they won't even know it. They won't even know that they went and paid something somewhere and it went through blockchain technology. Or instead of Equifax, their data is now used in some other safer system that is a hell of a lot more private. Or there's going to be so many use cases they don't even know they're involved with. That's okay. But that's why I'm saying we will be using these, and you and I are those people that are so interested that we're pulling the hood up and going, look at the car. This is super cool inside.
And everyone else is going, nah, whatever, man. Just give me the keys. I want to drive.
Yeah. But there's more people going, I want to see inside underneath the hood. Some people are going, hey, I want to think about how to build a better hood. I don't even care about the engine. Other people are saying, how do we make it more efficient so that you get better gas mileage? Other people are like, yeah, but there's too much traction on the tire. It's not efficient. That's great. That's awesome. So I don't even think necessarily the price action is where I want to focus, because people get too scared about going up and down. Do I think it will continue to go up? I don't want to be a fool and say no, because look what keeps happening, right? But it's because of what's underneath the hood. And that's where I just spend more focused thinking, I don't know what's going to happen, but in a year from now, 2 years, or 3 or 4 years from now, we're going to look back, and then whatever it evolves into is going to be even bigger. And that's super cool. There'll be projects that maybe you like that I don't, projects that I like that you don't. Mm-hmm. And by the way, there'll be some projects that you might like, but they just don't matter to you. They're just not important to you. But they're vitally important to me and some business that I use. And like you're saying, there'll be countries that literally adopt things, or people are watching right now that go, hey, we could use this, and maybe in 5 years that government that was unstable is stable, or at least 50% more stable, or 50% better healthcare system, or 50% less corruption, or better voting, or helping people with basic human rights. It's as big and as small as we want it to be. And I think just knowing that this has potential, there are a lot of people. I saw a video today. I'll share it with you privately. My wife sent it to me. And the video was from somebody that if I mention the name, he's famous. And there'll be people that say, oh, he's awesome. And then there'll be people that go, oh, I can't stand him. And, that's not the point. What he says, if you take away the person's image and persona, is amazing. He really gets across the point that what we have today in potential is mind-blowing, that we all, take away the people that are oppressed. There are people in slavery, there are people that are dying, they don't have food. A large majority of humanity is living better than the people that lived at the highest level 100 years ago. Yep. It's unbelievable. And I know some people right away, they're going to critique that. And I get it, because we want to make it better. But we have unbelievable luxuries that our great-grandparents would have given anything for. And I don't mean luxuries like fancy cars. I mean even basic luxuries so that we can deal with environments. Now, there's ramifications of all of that. But, seeing the progress and moving in that direction takes a certain mindset, because you can either look at it like, yeah, but look at all the negative stuff that it leaves behind, or you can say, look what it has done for humankind. Now let's improve that stuff and give that even better opportunity to other people that don't have any of it, because they would give anything for it. There are people that would say, it's 130 degrees here. You're telling me you have this thing that cools off the room, and so that people won't die maybe from the temperature change? And we say, yeah, don't you have that? No, we don't have that. Or people that say, I'm still putting fire in the hut and it smokes out my hut when it's freezing cold here. And I know this sounds crazy. It's not sexy. People are like, who cares about that? I want my leather seats in gold and marble. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You can use it how you want. This brings some of that potential where people can go vote and not have to worry about what's going to happen to them because their vote is private. Or they can have a heating system, which we could say, yeah, but we need to improve that. Okay, great. Let's improve that. There are better ways. I'm not saying technology does all of that, by the way. I'm just saying some of that can be engulfed under the version of what is technology. Technology could be a hammer. That's technology. That's a tool that somebody figured out. You can build a house faster or a hut faster or whatever faster if you want to use this hammer.
Or you can kill somebody. Technology can be a double-edged sword.
Same tool. It's the same tool. So it's this that matters so much moving forward, that people on your channel and my channel say, oh, it's going to be taken over by the governments and the banks and then this and then that. I don't know. I have no idea. But if I'm being allowed to use that hammer and I can figure out a good way to use it, I want to let other people know, hey, this thing's super cool. You can use it however you want, but look at it. I mean, it's super cool. That's how I see it.
That's it. It's a technological revolution, and it's exciting to be in the know to an extent, to the little bit of knowledge that we can have about this massive monster. But to be here, to be able to talk about it, to be involved in some small way in that revolution going forward, because the use cases for this kind of technology are just almost unending. And they really...
Right.
This is the technology I feel like we are waiting for to offer that better future for humanity. And that might sound a bit big, but when we look at the ability for this to tackle things like corruption, this is some of the things that are holding humanity back on a massive scale. And if we can deal with these problems using this new technology, the world becomes a better place for everybody. And we're already living in a state of massive abundance globally. Like you said, it's absolutely true. The year 2017 is an amazing year to live in. We're so lucky to be alive at this time, but there's still so far to go, and this new technology is going to be what offers that to us. So
I agree. I totally agree.
Anyway, Ed, I feel we've been chatting for ages, man. This is awesome. This is absolutely awesome, by the way. But
went by fast.
But yeah, that's it. I feel like I should to keep conscious of your time and let you go here. But we definitely have to do this again soon. Maybe we'll do a live stream next time and get some viewers involved. I think that'd be a lot of fun, actually.
That would be. Absolutely. I'd love to do that. And the more we can chat, the better. We'll come up with some cool ideas. I know people have gone on my live stream and said, you and the Crypto Lark, you guys got to get together. And I know we've been emailing each other back and forth. And I feel like we've created a really cool start of a friendship, which I'm looking forward to. But I think you're right. I think if we can just involve more people in any creative way, I'm open-minded to it. I think it's a lot of fun. And you have a really positive take on this as well as I do. And I think that, this is what attracts people to each other, obviously. So I look forward to where this goes from here on in. And I look forward to looking back at this video at some point. I'm sure it'll be interesting to do that. It's a journey for us anyways.
That's it. That's part of the fun of YouTube videos. They're like a video log of your life. It's like you're looking back at some of your first YouTube videos, go, oh my God, did I do that? But
yeah, oh man, what was I thinking?
But it's a great journey. It's a great journey. It's just amazing to have, people like you, in the space, spreading a positive message, giving people information, giving people that, support that they need. To anyone who's not subscribed to the Crypto Spark yet, link will be down below in the video.
And follow me on Twitter too. If you've gotten this far in the interview or the talk, follow me on Twitter. I think it's a great source, right? We got to use what's out there to get people to be able to share information, and I think it's great. But also, if anybody's watching my version of this and you guys aren't subscribed to the Crypto Lark, obviously you either haven't heard of them or there's something wrong with your hands, because you should absolutely be subscribing to the Crypto Lark. That's a no-brainer, obviously. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much. Long live blockchain. And this has been your Crypto Spark.
Thanks, Lark. I'll talk to you soon.
You too, mate. Cheers. Bye.